Okay, so Murray, we have the provincial budget. Very generally, I kind of took a first look at it. It seemed like Brad Wall was saying everything was on the table, like a, psych! It wasn't. He basically, education taxes, taxes are still not being axed. It does, though, seem to be a lot of little cuts, as you were predicting. Through families, they kind of got after potash here as well. What are your thoughts on this whole?
Well, what I wasn't predicting was how much they're actually adding to the debt, and just by straight adding to it. I don't really understand how this is a great long-term philosophy for any government. I guess it's great that I'm not going to be paying more property taxes or taxes elsewhere, but is that really the tough decisions that the government needed to make at this particular time? I'm not so sure. I think that they could have done a more thorough job of going through the budget with a fine-tooth comb and saying, do we really need to spend on same on Creative Saskatchewan as we always did, line by line through the budget, take a look at everything that's been talked about. There's very little more for nursing home, very little to address the long-term problems.
The provincial budget shows that this government can fix seniors' care, build a better education system, and make life affordable for middle-class, hard-working families, but they aren't going to. The government won't pass the benefit of higher revenues onto everyday families. As they have for years, this government is planning to spend it as fast as it's coming in. And in order to do that, they're asking families to pay just a little bit more and get just a little bit less.
I guess, as we had been talking about, this is a budget very much about getting through the year. Spend a lot on infrastructure, go into debt doing it, get past the election. Hopefully oil prices will have turned around by then. They're rather optimistic. It
does seem like they're banking on that.
Yeah, they're very optimistic on potash numbers, very optimistic even on oil numbers in terms of how much revenue they're going to collect. They think they're only going to take a $400 million hit from last year. I think that's a little too optimistic in a lot of areas.
Strength in the potash industry and a change in the potash production tax will help offset the $661 million decline in oil revenue from last year's budget due to the falling oil price. The total tax deduction potash producers receive from their capital spending will now be used over a longer period of time. As a result of this change and overall growth in the potash industry, potash revenue is expected to be up by nearly $400 million this year.
Mostly, what I don't like about the budget is that it was supposed to be an austere budget that was going to be looking at various ways to cut government spending, various ways to sort of handle things in the long term, and I think it failed at that.
Yeah, they could have done a lot more. Probably there are things they could cut there that they haven't cut.
Well,
but I mean, people aren't. Do you think people are going to be unhappy with this budget, or do you think people are going to go, well,
Well, I wonder if their kids are going to be unhappy.
The graduate retention thing is gone.
This graduate retention thing's gone. Seniors are, very few seniors are going to be affected.
6,000 are going to take a hit on their
prescription drug plan.
Yeah.
But that's not really all that many in 140,000 seniors in the province. No, it doesn't really affect people in the pocketbook. What I wonder if their kids are going to be happy is that there's a lot more long-term debt, and eventually that catches up with us. And there's really no clear explanation at this particular point, or better put, any clear justification for making this move. We have to live within our means, and sometimes living within our means means doing things that require cuts, not just borrowing more.